Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are once again for another episode of Strength in Silence. I'm here with James Berry II and Shay. We are here to talk about over-incarceration, wrongful convictions, and support. Strength in Silence, as you are aware, is a podcast for the strong friends, and these are people with real everyday issues and concerns that are endemic to our population, and we want to get these things out there. We want to talk about advocacy today and how we can get you to help, get you involved with these things that are going on in the community. How y'all doing today?
We're great.
Good. Now, I need to tell you, this is my uncle. This is my blood, my mother's brother. So, and this is my cousin that we have on the phone. That is James Berry III that we have on the line. So we'll hear his voice today as well. And just get a little insight. We're talking about generational things. And let's just get right into it.
Okay.
Got a couple little questions today. We're going to talk about external support and impact, confronting generational choices, as well as advocacy and raising voices and breaking the cycle and healing together, which I think is very important to our community today.
Absolutely.
Especially in these times that we're in, the current administration. You know, back in the day I grew up with, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I think the village was kind of broken down and destroyed in so many respects. And I think I see a coming together of the village again. And I think that's what the Creator intended. Even though it might be, external pressures, or it might not be the most ideal situation for it, but pressure busts pipes,
Yes.
right? So that pressure is going.
Make diamonds.
Indeed. And I think we're the diamonds that have been pressed. So let's jump into it. I'm going to get a couple of questions for y'all. And then we're going to hear my cousin's voice that's on the phone. And then we'll close it out with some tips and all that type of stuff.
Cool.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is with you, Unc. You did your own time.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are perfect. We all have our own backgrounds. You did 10?
10 years.
You did 10 years in, where were you?
I was Maryland Correctional Facility in Hagerstown, Maryland.
In Hagerstown, which is where I flew into. Ain't nothing out there, y'all, let me tell you.
Nothing.
Okay, so when you were doing your time, what did outside support look like for 10 years, and how did you stay strong?
The outside support basically was just close-knit family, the family members. More so my mother, because I knew she was sick.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me the strength to want to continue to do all I could to get back home to her. Then my children,
Mm-hmm.
because I left them when they were young, 10, 12. My oldest daughter was grown though, but the other ones were of that age, and that just gave me the inspiration to want to just get out as soon as I can, so I could be some kind of support, not just financially, but emotionally and in every other kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep in touch with them, to try to follow whatever was going on in their life, schooling or whatever, as much as I could. That's what the support was for me, and they would, reiterate that by giving me everything that's going on with them, and that helped me through everything I had to endure.
Yeah, because I'm sure, people say they'll be down with you and whatever, but
Yeah.
10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And it might be cool for a couple months.
And you said it right, because that's how it was early on.
Mhm.
And people, guys and whatnot that was out in the street with me, they were there, but they fell off little by little.
Yeah.
And that was expected. I really wasn't looking for it, but I just wanted to be in contact and have that relationship with my children, and that really did. I had family members come from out of town to come see me here and there, from Jersey and things like that. But my mother, a couple of sisters and whatnot, they were there.
Okay.
So my kids though was the motivation
Yeah.
that got me through. Yes.
Yeah, my kids are the reason I'm still alive. For
Absolutely.
Real. You know what I mean? Tell me about a time that somebody shared something that may have been small for them, but it uplifted you unexpectedly during that time.
Well, the thing that really did uplift me was when my son, who we're speaking about today, he'd gotten into boxing after I left the street.
Mm-hmm.
And he was being successful at it. Won Golden Gloves,
Okay.
regional Golden Gloves, and all that. So he had started making a name for himself. And he told me one day that he gonna do all of this for me.
I know that was impactful. Yeah, I see the emotion now. It can't help but touch you, your own seed, trying to do better. Because at the end of the day, as a parent, you only want your child to do better than you, to be better.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Okay. So for other people that are feeling isolated, whether they're on the inside or not, going through their own hardships and stuck, what advice would you give them about reaching out to people or even being able to accept help from others?
What I would tell them is, just don't bite your tongue. Don't closed mouth don't get fed. Don't hesitate on trying to ask. You never know unless you do. Reach out to people and whatnot. That pride, put that aside. You don't need that.
Okay.
Put that pride aside and just reach out, speak to people, and ask whatever it is that you want them to do. If they can just do something small, it may mean a bigger difference. You just gotta ask. You got to reach out. Don't that pride, put that aside, please, because that's what got a lot of us in the position that we're in sometimes. So leave that aside and try to grow through speaking to people and asking for help. You got to ask for help and reach out.
Okay.
Through any avenues you can.
Absolutely. We can now go ahead and bring Cousin in because I want to add him into the conversation.
Okay.
Just so you guys are aware, I want to bring this from a generational standpoint. We're going to have my cousin's voice online today, but I want to come back and do a part 2 where you can see and hear him tell his story. It is a very compelling story, and I think his voice is the best one to tell his story. So as we transition into the next section, we're talking about confronting generational choices. And so I'd like to ask Cousin, while Unc was doing his time, what was it like for you on the outside as his son, trying to maintain your own way of life as well as trying to do what was best and make your father proud?
One of the things that I would talk about is trying to maintain these, because where I'm growing up at, I'm growing up in it's not dead in the hood. So one of the things that my father always was protect the cause. So when trauma was happening with my family, and at a young age, I was made to pick that up, pick that protectorship up in the best way that I could. And so that's one of the burdens that was left on me. So that's one of the things, one of the things I struggled with the most, because I was so young, but I felt compelled to make sure, one, when I talk about security, that my family had, because we living in poverty, so I was trying to make sure my family had. And the second thing is protect them, making sure they didn't get hurt in any kind of way. And I experienced my oldest brother being shot, and he had to step up, so to speak, and saying, I won't let that happen to nobody else because it's on my clock. I felt like it was my responsibility because now my ball was in. But still trying to make it, and I had it, my father voice in my head, and I had that support was dad to me, you know what I'm saying? Because my mom couldn't travel with me to support me when I'm fighting, when I'm going out of state to state, because she had to work. She had to try to think for us to have food and a roof over our head. So I didn't have that family support. Besides my aunt coming out once I made it big, so to speak, my aunt coming out for me to support me, doing all she can, but I never had that support that everybody else had when their fathers or their mothers come. I never had that. So I had to muster up that energy and still try to be great regardless. And also I felt like I wanted my father wasn't heard, or I wanted to get him out the best way I could. So when I could send help in there, so to speak, and tell a story, I could put these people in there to just to reach out to let them know. It was I was sending my love to them.
So it was a dual responsibility one, to be a good son and support, but then kind of carrying the family as well, and taking care of yourself and trying to push your dream as well. I'm sure that was a tremendous burden for somebody so young.
Absolutely.
So that's stand up in and of itself, because everybody don't feel that type of responsibility. So, Uncle, let me ask you this. What kind of emotions did you experience when you realized Lil Barry had made some of the same choices that you had in the street?
One of shame, first of all. Not for him, but for myself.
That's understandable.
For myself. One of abandonment, because I wasn't there to keep him from doing some of the things that I did, from him going left when he should be going right. You know, I felt just a sense of failure, because I failed him by not being there. I was reaching out to other people trying to get them, keep him straight, keep him there. That wasn't their job, it was mine. And I wasn't there to fulfill it. That was my job. And so, so I feel I failed him. But it was too great of thing to just say I failed him and give up. Because the consequence was too heavy to just say I failed him and just give up. So I had to keep trying, even if it was, like I said, put your pride aside and speak and ask others. You know, look out, do this, do that. I tried all I can, but it was a sense of failure and pain to see that he was making some of the same choices.
Okay. So, Lil Barry, can I ask you, listening to your father and his sense of failure, can I ask if there were things that you gained that you feel positives in, even seeing the example, what he feels are mistakes, but are there things you learned from his mistakes?
When he was talking about failure, I was thinking about heroism. He was saying because I'm saying like in the sense of hero, because the lesson he taught me before he left, it's like it was already strong and powerful enough for me to navigate, just like I was trying to navigate. And while he was in, we're talking about somebody like my father wanted the best for me, right? So he had to then accept that I made my own choices, and the choices that I made landed where I was at. So how did he navigate from there? How did he still navigate that choice? So that's what I'm saying. Like heroism, you know what I'm saying? Because we talking about a man now has to say, he had to accept the fact that I'm on this other path that he didn't want me to be on. Okay, how does he navigate through that path that I'm on and still be like triumphant in a sense? So that's how I looked at it. Because his mannerism of taking care of family, his bravado, he was really like a brute guy, like a powerful guy to me. So those kind of things is things that I need to carry on because I was on my own, so to speak. So those kind of things that is priceless, that he won't accept that, that it was a good thing because he wasn't there. But those kind of things I think help compel me and walk me through my life in my own journey.
That's deep. That's real deep. So what you view as a failure, you had already instilled enough in your son so that he saw the man in you. He didn't see your failures. And that's sitting heavy on me right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that changes the way that we look at things. A lot of times we're our own worst critic. You know what I mean? That internal judge is something serious, and we're hard on ourselves and looking at, I did this and I messed up, and my children looking at me. When in hindsight, the thing that you're calling a failure, they're looking at as a point of strength because you've had an opportunity to overcome. I think that's a beautiful thing, man. Shay, I want to bring you into this conversation, definitely not to exclude you. We're talking about, going and trying to reopen the case or getting a fair trial for Barry. And what does that look like, supporting him from the outside as his woman? How do you navigate those feelings? How do you keep your strength
So I think support from out here looks like us speaking when he can't, being places that he can't be, going places that he can't go. He doesn't always have the access or the reach
Mm-hmm.
to do everything that needs to be done, but just doing those things and trying to do them as quickly and effortlessly as possible. Us being the voice, us getting the story out, us trying to navigate and getting rooms that he can't go in,
Yes.
reaching people that he can't reach, and just advocating for him the best way that we can.
Mm, that's beautiful. Now, we have to look at it from the outside, right? Many different perspectives. So people looking at this might say, man, cousin's been in for 14 years. You down for him for the time you've been down for him. What does that look like for you? How do you keep your head to be there, to be able to support him and be in those rooms and be his voice when he can't be his own voice?
So, I mean, I get that question a lot, but Barry motivates me more than I can motivate him. So, to be in those rooms and be able to speak on his behalf is a gift to me, because he speaks for me when I can't even speak for myself, or sometimes when I don't feel like doing something for myself. You know, for him to have the strength that he has in his situation, I be looking at myself like, girl, what are you upset about? Like, what are you sad about? You know, like, it's just, it always looks like, you know, we're there for him, but he's more here for me than anything. So I look at it as a badge of honor to be able to, you know, go and do things and be able to support him the best way possible, and let him know, you know, you're not a burden to me. I don't mind, you know. So when he needs something done, I don't want him not to ask. I try to move as fast as possible, you know. I try to do it as quickly as possible, and make sure that he knows that it's not a burden to me. It's a badge of honor at this point, because the story does need to be heard. People do need to know what's going on, and we just want, you know, his voice to be heard. So however, you know, I can do it or we can do it, it gets done.
That's love personified.
Yes, it is.
That you know, in this day and age, it's all kinds of women in the world. And I am a woman just like you are, so I've been around them all my life. And especially in this day and age of independence and, you know, the strong black women, we've always been strong.
Yes.
We've always been black. We're going to live and die with that. But there's a different caliber of woman that is being pushed and promoted by the media. And I think that is in by design, you know, to kind of continue that psychological operation of tearing up the families. So a lot of women in these days and time is more like, what can you do for me? And I think you just really put that out there so clearly and succinctly and so eloquently. Thank you, because he motivates you, and that's what love and that's what relationship is about. It's about how you can relate to each other, how you can support each other. Where he's strong, you may be weaker. Where you may be stronger, he may be weaker. Where you need to be upheld, and it's a reciprocous relationship. And I think that's something, that a point that really needs to be driven home as to what love really is. You know, we get this fairy tale and romantic type of love, but people don't understand that real love is a decision.
Yes.
And it's an embodiment. And thank you for just possessing that quality, because that's not something that is really being pushed these days. And I think I'm always advocating for our brothers, even though as much as black men have hurt me, it doesn't matter. They're still part of me. And so I'm always advocating for us and for our unions. And I think that's important, because that's another narrative that we've been hearing. You know, I see a lot of times black women, I'm gonna go get me a white man, da 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 da. And I don't punch down on nobody for what their choices are.
Right.
My choice is a black man, somebody that looks like me, that understands me and knows my struggle, and we can correlate to that. So thank you, because that was beautiful, what you just said.
It was.
You got a real one, cuz. I like that. So moving on.
I definitely agree with you, like, so often being pushed in the book. Like you said, was being pushed in the book. Providing kids and all that, but the real strength is when behind the scenes what's being done.
Yes.
With the person in body, like that strength that you're saying, a person in body, how far they willing to go? What they willing to sacrifice? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like that speaks to the person's character. So even me, growing up how I'm growing up, I was taught to look, so to speak, into my body. So now at this age, it's like I'm rewiring my brain to understand what they're really looking for.
Yes. It's the internal that's most important, right? And where your heart really lies. You know, we talked about that frequency of love, and so that's a real thing I live by. I live by and die by that, because if you just tap into the love of the Creator, all these other things are going to come along. It's easy. You know what I'm saying? When you operate in not looking for something to come back. When you just so full of love that you're giving the love from the overflow, and you can't help but to get that back, because what you put out there is coming back to you in the whirlwind. That's what people don't understand about energy, right? Okay, so how, and I want to ask this question to all three of you, and you can go in any order you want, but what were some of the things that may have come up for you, maybe fears or hesitancy, when you start to talk about these things openly? What did you have to consider before you, or did you consider anything before you start talking about, you know, maybe his case and trying to get a new trial and all that to other people?
Well, I would like to speak first on that. And some of the things that I consider, because as I spoke early on, is like a sense of responsibility. So I know what I'm locked up for, in a sense. So this is murder. So the picture that's been painted got a lot of my friends killed. Even though it's false, even though it's a lie. So got my friends killed. You know what I'm saying? I really got a friend that died from this case. Due to this case, and it was all a lie. Being promoted by the Baltimore City Police Department. For whatever reason, their political reasons or whatever. So when I'm having these people advocate, because I think about that, I carry that burden, I carry that sense of responsibility, even in me. And also the empathy that I have for the victims of this land and their family. I have empathy for them in abundance. You know what I'm saying? And as I advocated for myself at Texas, you know, I had a struggle because I really believe that, you know, the big parents thought that I did. You know what I'm saying? And it speaks to crazy that you go and do this. So I had empathy for them. But it troubled me because it's a reflection of, you saying it's a reflection of how my family raised me, my mama raised me. So I spoke to her and I told her I had empathy for her, you know what I'm saying, but these are the eyes that she's seen. You know what I'm saying? And also I had like a sense of anger towards it, because in some part in the investigation, I think that they knew that I didn't do it. But due to what people did, due to what the state was providing, even with a lie, they were told to go forward because it's being promoted to them, it's being charged to them. This was responsible. This was responsible for. So say it to them. So that's what happened. So I thought about that responsibility. Like, okay, man, like, you know, I don't want to kill up old wounds or further traumatize this family from what's going on. But what about me?
Right.
What about me? What about the experience? I mean, the trauma that my son being put through because I ain't dead. One of my sons just was shot. One of my sons just was shot. You know what I'm saying? We went to school, we ain't at the right place at the right time. You know what I'm saying? So these kind of things trouble me. So this me being here, well, I don't think that I could have changed or which trauma or changed their so to speak, but I think I could have impacted really it could have been different choices me. So I think about all that kind of and that responsibility of when you put this out there, what do these kids look like? I care about that this probably gonna hurt the victim's family. I care about that. But I gotta be selfish in a sense and say, I deserve justice too.
Right.
Because I'm worthy. I'm worthy.
Yes.
I'm worthy of it.
Yes. Yes.
So for me to speak about it, you know, me and Barry always talk about it in the beginning of our relationship, because like, look, I'm not locked up for training tickets. Like, this ain't something you should be talking about. This isn't something you should be speaking on, because everybody say they didn't do it.
Mhm.
So when you meet a woman and they had in a relationship with somebody who's incarcerated, and it's just like, girl, you're delusional. What do you mean he didn't do it? So it doesn't bother me to speak about it. I don't have any hesitation to speak about it because it just sparks a conversation. So whenever I speak about it now, I can speak to who he is now. I don't know the monster that y'all painted. I don't know this person who you're trying to portray. I don't know anything about that. I know who he is today. I know what kind of awards he's winning. I know what kind of change he's making in the city from being incarcerated. I know the type of people that he's touching. I know how he impacts my life, my family. I know who he is today and what kind of person he is today. So to speak about it, for me, I don't have hesitation because I feel like he deserves, a fair trial. He deserves to be heard. He deserves to be held to the same standard that you would held anybody else to.
Right.
So I don't hesitate. It starts a conversation.
Yes, that's important. Huh?
Yeah, I have no hesitation at all, but the only thing, just the roadblocks that be in the way sometimes. Sometimes it shaking you sometimes and whatnot, but also it can motivate you. It all depends on how you're going to take it. And sometimes just the roadblocks and knowing that there's certain things in the way and whatnot of him getting back in court. He's, went through the proper channels that we thought was going to get him justice because it was right there, plain and simple, in their face. You know what I mean? Through his post-conviction and all, right in their face. I mean, blatant, violation of his rights and whatever. Blatant. And when it didn't happen, that sometimes, it don't discourage you, but it make you so damn angry.
Oh yeah.
That this is law. And we see it in black and white. You see it. This is case law. And it's still ain't blatant and you still want to ignore it.
Ignore it.
To make you do what you want to do to fit the narrative that y'all pushing. Rather than just justice that's on the book in black and white.
Indeed.
The violation. So I have no hesitation about it, but it's just the fact that when things get shut, doors get shut, every time you think it's open, here it is, we got them. They can't ignore this.
Right.
It's here. And then the door getting shut. So it wears on you, but also it just makes you strong because when you go through it, you can grow through it. And that's what it has been. That's what it's been, a growth period for me.
Yeah.
Because I, like I said, was in the joint for 10 years, and then wanted better for him because he had out. His skill was boxing, and he was not just okay. He was good. He was one of the best. We out of Baltimore, so this is where Tank Davis. You may have heard of him. But he was before Tank. Tank looked up to him.
Okay.
He was before Tank. Tank, and all them was little boys. He was the one carrying the city on his back. He carried the city. So that in itself and whatnot is enough, man. It's just motivating me.
Okay. That was something we had a conversation about, also about. He can't. That. We live in a time where the folks create the laws and find a way to skirt around the laws that they created, or moreover, to change the law to how it suits them.
Absolutely.
So, and it's not always, I work in the legal field, right? And I know that, people, there's a sense that, we're going to court to get justice. But it's not necessarily about that. It's not about the truth. And people think, the truth is going to set me free. And that's what we've always been told. Exactly. But in the court of law, it is about who tells the better story, who has the better narrative, and who has the supporting evidence for their narrative. Yeah. You can support a lie.
Yes, you can.
You can make a lie look like the truth.
Yes, you can.
Simply because you have more resources to pull and pour and influence.
And manufacture.
Indeed. I could be as innocent as rain is wet, but I may not be able to get a witness to come from the other side of the country. I may not be able to, I can't compel somebody that can stand and say, I know they didn't do this because I know the person that did it and they told me. But I can't get them in because I'm in a position where I don't have the resources to do that. And so it's a money game.
Yes.
It's a money game, and I don't think people really understand that. People think, oh, you're going to have your day in court and the evidence says this and that. I don't think they even understand how evidence can be suppressed.
Yes.
And a lot of people are behind bars simply because the evidence that exonerated them was suppressed and the jury never got to hear it. That doesn't make sense to me.
At all.
If the truth is the truth, it shouldn't matter how much money you have. It should be the truth is the truth. Get these folks in here who can tell the truth, but they can suppress evidence on a technicality. So again, that's playing with the law.
Yes.
You create the law in black and white, and you know what it is, but you know ways to skirt around it. Because if you wrote it, you know how you know them loopholes you wrote into it as well. Okay, you know how to write things up to make it look a certain way as well. You know, I say this a lot, like people in their profession, I'm a psychology major. So let's just say if I was a counselor and I wanted to commit somebody, I could take some things that they said maybe innocently and write it up in my report in a way that they locked up, Baker acted or whatever, and can't even make choices for themselves. It's the same thing. And everybody doesn't operate with integrity.
It's true. Say that again.
That's important to say. So let's transition into advocacy and raising voices, because that's what we're here talking about today. And we are trying to get you towards a new trial, trying to get them to give you your day in court. To be fair, that is supposed to be our inalienable right, to have a fair trial before a jury of your peers. Right? And so what does advocacy, what does pushing that look like? Who are the players that need to be maybe tapped into or reached out to in order to get that ball rolling?
Well, first of all, just go ahead, son.
Well, to talk about the advocacy part, I want to make sure people understand the advocacy. I'm currently being I'm currently serving time double life plus 160 years for identification that was manufactured. I'm so locked up when somebody said it saved my eyes through a mask and a hoodie. You heard me, through a mask and a hoodie. They said it saved my eyes after a video that they never seen in person before in their life. So that's what I'm doing time for. For your chance, the identification itself was manufactured by a corrupt detective who is known as corrupt. Merlin Mosley, who was the city attorney at the time, called out the Pacific detective named Donnell Taylor for sabotaging the first grade case. She sabotaged the first grade case the same year that she did with my kid. She doctored her notes to make it look like first grade died by accident when he was murdered. So she doctored her notes. So I'm saying this is the same tactic that she used in my case. They did. The victims couldn't identify me initially. And a day later, somehow they gave the opinion of the suspect, and then I was pointed out. So this is what we are fighting against. They know that this woman is sabotaging cases and being called out for it, but it don't work for me because I'm not the police, or I'm not in high power, so I can't use that she's defective. She is purposely, willfully, doing the wrong thing. And she was been locked up. She's been locked up, but she's still able to put me behind prison because she is moving around evidence. And the evidence that they had that she said was left out was a DEA informant. A DEA informant was pulled over 15 days after this crime happened that I'm locked up for. And he told them that if you somebody murdered, they took him downtown. He told them that one of his friends admitted to doing this crime. Admitted to doing this crime and told him all the details, and the specific details that he put about that it was never put to the news. He was so precise in how this was done, in the exact same way that when we went to trial, the eyewitness testified that the role, that's what's important. The role that they said I played, the DA informed said his friend admitted that he played that role. So I was locked up because the jury wasn't even allowed to hear that at all. Due to, like you said, my lawyer misrepresentation of me, he purposely didn't bring this man in so the truth could be really told. He purposely didn't bring this man in. And he was so smart. So that kind of failure is not a harmless error.
Right.
That kind of failure is ineffective to the counsel. That's all his part to advocate for me.
Right.
To make sure that these people are in to scream out that this man is innocent. But the jury was not able to heard that, and then the jury was tainted. Literally, jury misconduct, told the jurors knew his family, and never told the judge and his family that they was church members with these people. So they sat on my jury, and they was infiltrators. Purposely infiltrating to find me guilty. So that's how I found guilty. Literally in the middle of my trial, 2 other 6 jurors went to church with the family and held like a seance in the middle of in the pews of the church. And the sheriff who was presiding over my case was the usher at the church and really say it wasn't supposed to be, because one of the jurors called feet and it came and told the sheriff. The sheriff seen the jury sitting in the pew with the family and said, "Oh my God, that's not supposed to happen." Monday morning, after all that happened, nobody said anything. Not to say jurors, nor the sheriff. And Monday morning, court closed. It was over. My trial was over that day. He took the jurors home, and he told the jurors, tomorrow when y'all come back 9:30 in the morning, I want y'all to start deliberating. So this was cold-blooded, Ricky D, sent into jail case. This is not about justice. It's about really real. It's about corruption. It's about corruption. Send him to jail no matter what. So that's what advocacy looks like. I should be afforded due process no matter what. It don't matter that I'm poor. It don't matter that I don't have the resources to pay for the top food. I should still afford a fair trial, no matter what. Whether I'm guilty or innocent, I should be afforded a fair trial. And I wasn't. So advocacy looks like the truth.
You know what? To that point, I want to bring about something too, as far as advocacy. So you're inside, and there's the same way there's drugs and alcohol and whatever else and gang activity and all that on the outside. There's that on the inside, and people get in trouble and all of that. But what are you doing with your time, cousin, on the inside? I'd like you to speak about that, because I think that is important too, because that speaks to your character and the choices that you continue to make.
Yes. So right now I am a certified behavioral recovery specialist. And what that is a person with lived experiences, right? That come from the streets, that come from mental health crisis, that come from drug addiction and all these kind of things. So a person with lived experience who was trained by behavior specialists to help those around. So that's what I'm doing. I'm in here really trying to make a difference in a sense, because I'm in like a super max, ultra max prison. So we lock down most of the time. So when I tell you our brothers here are being so broke down, their mental health is a mental health crisis here. This is the trauma center where I'm at. So I'm trying to navigate my people as best as I can, as many as I can, when I'm out there stifled by the institution because I'm doing too much good. I'm trying to navigate my people back on some kind of road of recovery. Recovery from their traumas. Recovery from their adverse childhood experiences. But a lot of times that we ain't in here by incidents or by coincidence. We in here because the things that happened to us as a kid, we never was afforded the opportunity to have no kind of therapy. So we're dealing with those traumas in real life. So that's what I'm in here helping on. And while I'm in here, I'm even helping on the outside because due to my popularity. So a lot of the violence that's happening, I'm trying to, as best as I can, trying to find a common ground so nothing has to escalate. So I work with the men while I'm in here, while I'm incarcerated about an issue attacking on the street. I work with them to de-escalate it, and we were successful in doing so. Solely because of the time that I had in the streets. And none of gang time, not none of that. It's just people genuinely mess with me real hard. They love me, and they got a sense of respect for me because my character always been pristine. No matter what lane that I stepped in, I always made sure I had an honorable character.
Stand strong.
So by me having an honorable character, I'm able to help and touch me. Because I ain't trying to just save more. I think my hand called for more than that. I'm trying to save as many as I can.
I agree. You want to talk about advocacy from the outside?
Yeah, well, the advocacy from the outside, in my perspective, is just to keep things moving forward, to keep the iron burning, so to speak, to keep fresh in their mind, because people tend to forget a lot. So as long as you can, continue to reiterate, to keep his name, to keep his fight, to keep his struggle, out there, and to touch as many people as you can that that are in position that has a lot of, influence or imposition, to help, to reach the right person. As long as you can keep it moving, keep it talking, keep somebody that can, you may not know, but they may have the right connection to get to someone. Because I have a couple of associates myself that were incarcerated with me, and now they're in these groups, now trying to advocate with the kids and trying to keep violence down and all. So they have a couple of, so I reach out and talk to them and whatnot, as do my son. He even get to speak to them, and they try, maneuver. So long as we can keep things out there and keep people talking and try to push the right button. It may be right. We might not know the right button.
Right.
But as long as you keep pushing, you might get it. By process of elimination might be the right one. Somebody that could touch somebody that could touch somebody.
Yes.
So as long as we keep it moving in that direction.
Yes. And Shay, as his woman, what tips would you give people that want to help, that are looking to make an impact or to get in this fight in some type of way? What tips would you give them as far as advocacy?
Just follow through. Everybody speaks about what they want to do, what they can do, what they're going to say, what they're going to do. And I just think it just has to be some type of consistency.
Yes.
We can scream until we're blue in the face, but it's going to take more than just us.
Yes.
So, when people are reposting or people are speaking, I just, ask that they be consistent and, continue. I know it seems like a lot, but just to speak to somebody else, like you said, you never know who knows somebody and what their impact can be. So just the consistency and the support and the showing up and the the posting and the talking and just being in rooms that we can't always be in.
Yes, I think that's good. As we shift towards closing out, we want to talk about breaking cycles and healing together. Cousin, I would like to ask you a two-part question because I know your time is a little limited, but coping mechanisms.
Okay.
What has helped keep you strong in there? What has helped keep your head? And what advice would you give to others who may be facing the same situation?
Okay. So what has helped keep me strong is finding purpose. And finding the purpose, finding something that you can find to something that makes you feel alive. You know what I'm saying? We find purpose to make you feel alive. So that's one of the things that I think to help me through. Just helping others always pour into my cup, so to speak. And that cycle of just getting my overflow. So I always do it. So that's what helps me do it. And one of the major things growing up how I grew up, it was impulsive. When this happened, this was the response. So one of the major things that I think that I can give to others who come up in these kind of adverse environments like I did, my overflow. So I always do it. So that's what helps me do it. And one of the major things growing up how I grew up, it was impulsive. when this happens, this supposed to be your response. So one of the major things that I think that I can give to others who come up in these kind of adverse environments like I did is be able to give yourself a second to think and check your thoughts. Because a lot of times we don't check our thoughts. We don't fact check our thoughts. We just act off those thoughts. So you gotta check your thoughts, see how true it is. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of thoughts just run through our weed, and we just put them told that if you don't do this, or if you don't react like this, or you a sucker, or you a chump, or whatever it may be. But I think if you give yourself some time to find an alternative thought to replace and fact check the thought to see if it is true. So a lot of things that happen in here is like when I first came in, I was told that if somebody took one of your news, you need to lie about that, or you're gonna be labeled as a chump or something. We talk about a human life. You want me to go and stab church over a meal? But I was willing to do that because I was taught to act, not really think. So now, when the lesson that I learned now about how to fact check my thoughts of seeing the situation clearly, being objective with yourself. When I look at the situation, I say, okay, this guy needs to use me. Or he has a addiction, or whatever the case may be. He ain't saying I'm no chump. He warned me. He ain't treating me like no sucker, not like that. No, he has a disease. If he had cancer, I would say, he treats me like no chump. So this dude has a disease. So I'm going to go stab him and possibly take his life because he has a disease. And that's addiction. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things, I think the most powerful thing I ever did that changed my whole life. It changed my life. And I was able to say, okay, I'm thinking that this dude think I'm a chump because he still paying somebody else, or he's still giving this to somebody else, but he ain't giving me back my official money. So he think I'm something to play with. So to go back and just frame and say, hold up, do you really think I'm something to play with? No. I know this man respects me. I know that he know he can't do nothing. When he out beside you, make a decision on him. I know he knows this. But God is patient. He's struggling with something. His family ain't helping him. Because all the time we get left in here because we're not in front of people. So they tend to live their own personal life that's what's in front of them. So we get left behind, we get forgot about. And that is all by design. That's all by design. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the things that I like to echo, and I want everybody to learn in the thinking process.
Yes, I love that. That shows compassion. It shows growth. That shows a real man.
Definitely.
You have to think
Definitely.
before you move. Act like, we talked about that a little bit yesterday. My favorite quote is, think like a man of action, act like a man of thought.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I want you to tell him your quote too, that you shared with me yesterday.
You ready?
Yep.
Want it now?
Yep.
Okay. So, in this quote is from the Prophet on himself, maybe he's been people not to get punished. And the Prophet said, he said, the strong man is not the man who can control the people with his might or his power. But the strong man is the one who can control himself when he's in anger. So that spoke so loud to me. Because again, I'm told that the strong man or the person of power who can make the people basically submit to him in a sense. And that by any means necessary. I want you to look at me this kind of way because what I'm able to do from my physical strength. But the strong man is one who control himself because it takes a lot not to succumb to what you're being told, not to succumb to the environment that you're around. And you don't have to be something just because you're in that kind of environment. You can elect to choose to disobey, to restrain yourself. That's strength.
Yes.
Strength ain't always active.
Yes.
It's about collecting yourself. It's about discipline. So that's strength. That takes a lot of strength to do the right thing.
Okay. Like I said, I like how our quotes and those things that are very meaningful to us, even though we were raised in different environments. I left Baltimore when I was 12, right? I'm all the way down in Florida, not even around family, but that bloodline, that mark on our bloodline is strong, and I just appreciate being able to even talk with you in depth like I was able to yesterday, because it really taught me a lot more, even about what has been instilled in our family. You know what I'm saying? Because it's in the heart.
Yes.
You can't fake what's in the heart. Yeah, man, I love it. Shay, so let me ask you, what does strength in silence, because that's the name of our podcast, S.I.S, the podcast, but what does strength in silence mean to you now that you're in this fight and supporting LeBerry?
I think strength in silence to me would mean, what goes on in the background. What strength looks like is, continuing to fight every day, for him and showing up for him. And, there are times where, he's the motivation, but sometimes he needs to be motivated. So we can't always be silent. We have to speak up. We have to show up for one another and be consistent.
Yes.
It's like sometimes like an out of sight, out of mind thing, Everybody loves Barry. Everybody loves him. Anybody who has encountered him has nothing bad to say about him. But that doesn't mean that they care for him any less. But because he's not around them every day,
yes,
they forget to show up for him.
Yes.
They forget to speak up for him. So I think it's like, we can be strong, but it's like you don't want to keep asking people, can you do this, can you do that, can you do this, can you do that? But at the same time, it's just like, listen, the person that you know, the person that you love, he needs your help. He needs your voice. He needs you, to show up for him. So for me, it's just like, this is somebody who is a part of my life every day. So I speak about him every day. I show up for him every day.
Yes.
But it's just, trying to still get the voice out there and, everybody else who loves him and adores him to do the same thing.
Yes. Uncle, what does strength in silence mean to you as a father and also as someone who experienced doing a dime down?
Yeah. Well, strength means just trying to keep myself, first of all, physically, because I had some challenges with my health. So trying to keep myself strong, physically first of all, because if I'm not strong physically, I can't do nothing for myself or no one else. So that's been a challenge. I went through a major surgery recently, but to try to get myself back strong so I can be strong for everyone else around me, because I've always carried that burden that I need to take care of everybody. I was one. That everyone had to take care of the family. This was my responsibility. So, first of all, to get myself strong, to be able to help others, to try to keep fighting for him. The silence comes from when I am not feeling strong. When I'm not feeling strong at times, I try to keep that to myself. I don't put it out there. So that's where the silence comes from. I keep it to myself and know that it's a feeling. Know that it will pass. So I keep it to myself even when them times come that I'm not feeling as strong. I hold it and I try to keep it to myself. I pray, read my Quran and know that this is a feeling. And know that I've come through this surgery that they thought it was supposed to be cancer. But it wasn't. After the surgery, it's not. So I gotta trust in my God, Allah, because He brought me through that. So in my time of silence, I want to reach out to Him, and knowing that the feelings that I feel is just a feeling. It's going to pass. Because He got me through that, He can get me through anything else.
Indeed.
Inshallah.
Indeed. So I'm here to tell you, you and I chat here and there. You don't have to hold that. That seems to be a charge that all of us in the family have taken on. We all feel that responsibility that we all need to take on for the family. And just know that you have that confidence in me that when it gets to you, you can call me, because I got you. Same with you, Barry. I got y'all. I love you. couldn't love you anymore. Life's sometimes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? For all of us. But I think going back to that original theme, it takes a village. We got away from community because we integrated into this society. And it was forced on us.
Absolutely.
It was forced on us.
Yes.
But I think getting back to our values and getting back to the community that we come from is what's going to strengthen us as a people. And I'm pretty sure that is the fear. This is why, the psychological operation has been in effect. If people read books, they'll see that they wrote books and edicts on how to control and divide us because they were afraid of the power that we have together. And I want y'all to sit with that because it's very important.
Absolutely.
All of these different things, the colorism, the religions, all of that, at the end of the day, it's division. And what we have to understand is, regardless of what you believe, we all come from the same source. And we need to go back to the beginning, to the origins, and band together and overcome these psychological operations, because the first thing it's going to take is for you to acknowledge it. Right? Once you see it for what it is and you expose it and you talk about it, you're pushing past fear. Fear is false expectations appearing real. Right? These are the things that they built up in our mind, and that's the thing, they captured our minds. But I think we're coming out of the witchcraft. I think we're coming out of the spell that has been, even this language, this is not our original language. Originally we didn't even have to talk. When you know somebody really, really well, I bet you can think something and they say it. When you're really, really close to somebody and connected, you might be on the about to pick up the phone and call them or text them, and they're about to do the same thing to you because we're connected like that. But they have us so divided, we don't even understand the tools that we were born with inherently. And I think a lot of us are coming back to those things, right? And once we begin to embrace even more and get back to that love as a people, because we really are loving people. The funny thing is they're afraid that we're going to do the same thing to them that they did to us. But the reality is the love in us is what got us in this situation. Because we opened our arms. We welcomed people in. And they used that love against us to trick us, to kill us off, to give us diseases and all of this stuff. So the Strength in Silence family stands with y'all. We're going to do the best that we can to get this message out there and to use a platform. Everybody has a platform now. Anybody can have a camera, a phone, put it out there, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the other things that I probably ain't even heard of yet. This is a generation where we have the opportunity to be our own media. And so we're going to push this as much as we can. Go ahead, cousin.
And I would like to speak to, what Strength in Silence mean to me. Strength in Silence mean to me is cultivating that greatness that we all got inside of us. Cultivating. It's not outwardly. And the inwardly cultivate that greatness that's inside of us. And, I had came up with the mantra in a program inside of you. It's that little ego that we got inside of us. It's that little ego that we got that that it's heroic. When we leave out our door to go to school or to work or where we go at, to be able to get back in our house. Because we got to travel a bunch of landmines before we get back in our house. That was personally set to try to entrap us. So it's that cultivation, it's that tapping into that authenticity that you got inside you and building greatness and knowing how to cultivate that greatness so it's not a wildfire. So it's not the power and not just outwardly expression that can chaotic. To bring all that chaos and cultivate that and to really tap into that power and make something great, and be that greatness that we all got inside of us, that little hero that's inside of us.
Yes.
That's what our Strength in Silence means.
I love that.
Always and branch out and make sure our neighbor, our family, you have 60 seconds remaining. Our neighborhood now got that same greatness and be able to tap to and teach them how to travel that path of greatness. Not hold that in. That's what strength and silence means.
Thank you, cousin. I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Strength in Silence with James Berry II, James Berry III, Shay, his woman supporting my cousin, and once again, me, Nikki J. Strength in Silence is just that, the podcast that is giving voices to the voiceless. And join us again for the next episode. We love you. Peace.